become very good at search engine optimization, content writing is undoubtedly one special area that you must master. There are really no two ways about it, right? You must know how to write content. But of course, writing content has become a nightmare for so many search engine optimization experts, right? Obviously, this is not meant to be if you understand the basics of content writing, especially those that must be optimized for SEO. I mean, those that must get found organically on Google. So you must know the basics. You must know all of the things that need to be done in order to write effective SEO content for a website. So in this particular video, I want to take my time to get started on a series. It's going to be a series, guys, because obviously I cannot cover the whole of content writing inside a single video, except the video will take like forever to finish, and of course I wouldn't want to take you through that stress. So it's going to be a series, and in this particular one I'll get started with all of the basics, all of the basic things that you must know before getting started with writing content. These basic materials, these basic items, this basic knowledge are very important because they serve as a foundation to writing effective SEO copy. I'll be using my board to outline all of the basic things, all of the basic items that you must know in order to write or to craft an effective SEO content. So let's hop to my board immediately and let me show you around. Let me help you understand the simple things that you must first of all know before you delve into content writing.
So welcome to this board. Welcome to this particular section of the video. So right here we are considering writing an effective SEO copy. So as an SEO specialist, one particular assignment you always have is obviously to write effective copies, write effective copies or content that drives organic visibility to a website, right? And of course, in turn, get the visibility or traffic to convert as results. So conversion. So either a sales conversion or a lead conversion, right? So this is primarily your three assignments: write effective copies that drives organic visibility or traffic, and of course, visibility, which of course bears traffic, and of course also conversion at the end of the whole exercise. But the question becomes, how exactly do you write an effective copy? That exactly, once again, is what I want us to cover in this particular section. So to write an effective copy, right, there is just but one thing you need to do, right? You need to do just but one thing, and that exactly is knowing how to develop a content brief, right? You need to know how to develop a content brief. I cannot overemphasize this, right? For those who know me with SEO, I will always say this. The very first thing you want to understand is you need to develop a content brief. A content brief is a comprehensive document that contains the following items. So in the content brief, you have the content structuring, the content structure, right? Your content structure is found inside the content brief, right? And apart from the content structure, you have the content outline, right? Your content brief sometimes or most often houses or explains the outline, and of course also I will explain all of this in deeper. I will take my time to stretch this out so that you get to understand structure and of course outline. Your content brief contains the goal, the content goal, what exactly this content is going to be achieving, right? It contains the content goal and maybe a couple of other things that will come to mind as we make progress in this particular section. Let's go to a new page, right? Let's go to a new page quickly so that I can get started with this. So first of all, content structure. Content structure. There are several content structures in search engine optimization. There are several content structures you can get to employ in order to write good quality content. There's a structure called the lemma, right? The lemma framework or structure, right? The lemma framework or content structure. And this L here stands for logical, right? This is logical. The E here stands for explicitness, right? Explicitness of your content. The M stands for memorable, right? And of course the A stands for actionable, right? Actionable. Now let me explain this quickly. Your content can take the lemma structure or the lemma framework. First of all, your content must be logical, right? First of all, your content must be logical. You want to take your time to dig into the minds, right? You want to take your time to dig into the minds of your potential readers. What exactly do they already know about this content, about this topic, right? What do they already know about this topic? You don't want to go ahead and give repetition of what the person already knows. So take for instance, a guy is looking for a diabetes solution, right? Diabetes solution. You may not necessarily go ahead to start explaining what is diabetes to this guy. This guy already knows what diabetes is. It will simply be a waste of time explaining what diabetes is to this particular person. So your content must be logical. You want to take your time to outline some of the things that the person probably does not know and will want to know more about, right? So first of all, your content must be logical. Your content must be explicit. And when I say explicit, I mean it must be broken down into smaller pieces, in pieces that it becomes very easy for the reader to understand. You must take your time to stretch out every section of your content. Write it in plain text, right? Write your content in plain English, making it very easy for the reader to grasp, making it very easy for the reader to understand. So first of all, logical. You want to take your time to outline all of the things that you are very sure this person already knows about this subject matter, right? And of course, ChatGPT can help you with that. A simple command to ChatGPT can help you outline some of the things someone already knows about diabetes. So a guy looking for diabetes solution, ChatGPT can actually help you craft out some things this particular person here already knows, so that you don't go ahead to start putting those together in your content, wasting the precious time of the searcher or the reader. Your content must be explicit, right? For everything that you end up covering in this particular content, you must spell them out neatly. You must stretch them out so that it becomes easier for the person to understand them. So memorability, your content must be memorable, right? There are several things that you can put together inside of your content to make your content memorable, and one of them obviously is creatives, right? The creatives, the images or the videos, those are the creatives. So people get to remember stuff when they are explained with images, with drawings, with videos, with graphs, with tables, and all. So your content must be memorable. You want to take your time to outline some areas of your content in the form of screenshots, right? In the form of well-designed images or graphics, or maybe if you have the time to make videos explaining some sections of your content, you want to go ahead also to do that. That helps a visitor or a reader memorize or remember what your content is all about at the end of the day, long after he or she had visited. So the next one is actionable. Your content must be easy to practice. So a guy looking for diabetes solution, having gone through all of the things you panned out in these sections, right? It is very easy for him now to practice, to put all of the things that you have put together into practice, right? So your content must be actionable, right? So first of all, your content must be logical, it must be explicit, it must be memorable, and of course, it must be actionable. So apart from the Lima framework, there are several other frameworks that you can also get to employ in order to write effective copies, right? So we have the Lima framework, as I mentioned already. Then we have the PIOC. So as a person, I've always used PIOC myself, right? PIOC. So I like to use PIOC. PIOC was a term I got from the aviation industry, right? Meant to solve critical problems, right? So for every content I write, do you understand? It is always tackled as a problem. So let's say, for instance, I'm writing a content on diabetes solution. By this alone, I know this searcher has a problem, and the problem looks critical. So I want to attack the content in the form of a problem needing a solution. So that is why I'm employing the PIOC. PIOC is actually an aviation mid-air kind of problem solving framework, right? So the very first P here stands for the problem. So you want to extensively outline the problem, make the person understand that I know what the problem is. The answer. So a guy with diabetes, looking for diabetes solution rather, right, has a big problem. You want to probably in 1, 2, or 3 paragraphs outline what the problem is, make the person understand that I know what the problem is, and that exactly is what I want to help you solve with this particular content. So this particular approach actually makes the person feels comfortable that, oh, this writer understands what my problems, what my pain points are, right? Before you actually delve into the body of the content. So problem explained in sometimes in my own case I do 2 paragraphs, right? Well outlined 2 paragraphs stating the problem. The next one is information, and what it simply means is as soon as you are done outlining the problem, you want to dig a bit deeper into the problem, right? So it is not just enough to outline or to state the obvious facts around the problem. You want to probably dig deeper into the problem, giving figures, right? Giving figures to back up the problem. You want to give figures, and this is going to simply give you an external link, an external linking opportunity, right? An external linking opportunity to good quality resources or high authority resources. So you want to back up your problem by giving more information. And how do you give more information? You may want to start backing up your conclusion, your facts here with figures, right? You want to start backing this information up, this problem up with figures. You want to start doing the backup by stating obvious facts, right? Stating facts or quoting experts, right? Quoting experts, right? So that is how you dig deeper into the problem, by giving additional information to help the person really conclude that no, this thing is actually a problem. The fact remains that sometimes people have problems, right? Sometimes people have this problem, but it is not enough to explain the problem to them in just 2 paragraphs. right? Some of them don't even know that these problems actually exist. That is why you want to give additional information, right? Backing up the problem statement. So I use Lima, and of course also I use PyOC, right? Once in a while, I interchange, I mix them up sometimes. For some content, I may use Lima. For some other content, I may use PyOC, right? So problem, the information about the problem, and of course also the next one is option, right? The O. So now in trying to solve this problem, because obviously every content you write, come to think about it, every content you write is meant to solve a problem. So a guy is getting low visibility on his content, that is a problem. And by reading your content, that content is meant to serve as a solution to the problem, right? So option here simply means outlining the available options by which this problem can be solved, right? Outlining the options by which these problems can be solved. So you want to go ahead also to make your research. How can these problems be solved? And the good thing about some of this framework is that at the end of the day, you discover that you cannot even plagiarize. You cannot even bring yourself to the point of copying and pasting from anywhere on the internet, right? Because you have a structure you are working with, right? Copying and pasting from some other content guys or some other places becomes something very difficult for you to do, right? So now option, what are the available options that this guy can actually employ? Sometimes I put all these options in the form of bullet points and dig into them, right? So if I have option 1, option 2, option 3, right, it may not necessarily be stated as options. The title of the content or the title of the sub paragraph, the title of the paragraph may not be option. It may simply be a search term, right? An LSI keyword, something we call LSI. I will get into that shortly. An LSI keyword that suggests option to the problem, right? An LSI search term that suggests additional information in form of figures or facts or quoting experts, right, as the title of the paragraph, right? So it must not necessarily be option, or these are the this is more information to this, or maybe these are the options to this. No, right? You simply will do your LSI keyword research to find options to this problem, right? Options that help to solve this particular problem. You simply want to do your LSI keywords to find LSI keywords that fit into information, either in the form of figures or facts or expert opinions, right? So now after the O, which is the option, we want to dig into the S, right? So we want to select out of this option. So now, take for instance, we have about 20 of these options. We can now go ahead to select, right? We can select 1 or 2 of these options. So as an expert that I am, right, I think this is what you should settle for. This is what you should settle with. So I've given you some of the options available to solving this problem, but as for my years of experience, this is what I think you should settle with at the end of the day, which is what we mean by selecting, right? Selecting one of these solutions. Now, after you're done with the S here, we have the E, which is executing. Executing, right? The E is execution. So you want to execute. Once again, you must not necessarily put up execution as the title of the paragraph. You simply want to do your LSI keyword research using people also ask, using keyword everywhere, using keyword sheeter to find LSI keywords or LSI items or secondary keywords that can come in as subtitles, as subtitle headings, right, that fit squarely into this particular E here for execution, right? So how do you go about executing this selected option? And last but not least, how do you evaluate, which is the last E, right? How do you evaluate? Evaluation is very important. So your evaluation may be the final thoughts, right? Your final thoughts. In the final thoughts, you cannot put together. So having gone through this PIOC, looking at the problems, the information, the option, and of course selecting one of the options, right? Executing the option. This is now my final thoughts, right? In my final thought, I'm simply telling you that if you do all of this, this is how to check if this particular problem has been solved, right? Kind of, so far I've outlined this and this and that, but at the end of the day, it becomes a waste of time if these particular signals cannot be seen, or this particular item is not checked, right? So you want to put up a final thought, probably in the form of an evaluation. How do you evaluate to see if this particular problem is solved? So these are the two content structures that I like to use every time, right, in the course of writing my content. And it is very important that you have a content structure or a content framework if you will ever do well as a content writer. It is not just enough to write content for yourself. One of the beauties inside of content writing as an industry is getting hired and getting paid to write content, right? So, and nobody hires you if you don't know how to write content based on proven structures or frameworks. So moving on from here, we come back to our previous slide. The very first thing I said we must do is we must have a content structure or framework, and that has been dealt with using the Lima framework or the PIOC. So Lima or PIOC, right, as a content structure. Now the next thing you want to do is the content outline. You must have a content outline. So let's move on to another tab. Let's add a new tab quickly. So you must have a content outline, right? Outline. So your content brief must contain a content outline. So what exactly is content outline? Content outline is simply how your content, the flow of your thoughts, right? The flow of your thoughts, the flow of thoughts. How exactly are you able to gel your thoughts together inside of the content? Is it flowing, right? So your content outline must put in mind also the mission, and probably the vision of the organization, right? Your content must be written in line with the mission and the vision of the organization you're trying to write content for. You must understand the mission and the vision of the company to write good quality content for them. So apart from this, content outline contains the intent, right? The searcher's intent of the searcher. You must understand what a searcher actually looks out for, right? And write a content that perfectly suits them. So there are different types of intent in a content. A content can actually be either transactional, right? Transactional. A content can be commercial. A content can be navigational, right? And several kind of intents for a content. So you want to understand the various intents behind a content, right? So the intent of your searchers is very key, right, in coming up with a good content outline, right? So how exactly do you get to understand the intent behind a search? There are several ways by which you can do that, right? And of course, I'll show that to you shortly on the screen. One of the ways by which you can do this is simply by looking at the search engine results page landscape, right? So look at the search engine result page. What kind of content is already ranking, right, in this particular landscape, right? And even this flow of thoughts. One of the ways by which you can get to understand how to get your content to flow, the flow of events, the flow of things within your content is by studying the results, right? Studying the results, studying the SERP results. Do you get to see how this content, how these guys have structured their own content so that it can aid you in the course of writing your own content. It can aid your thoughts also, right? So the intent of the searcher also can be found on the search engine result page landscape, studying the content that's already ranking and seeing how they are structuring their content, right, will give you an insight if will give you an insight into the kind of content that you must write also. So your content outline must contain the primary search term, the primary and secondary search terms or keywords. So the primary and the secondary keywords must be neatly outlined in your content outline. Right, so apart from this also, don't mind me, my body is a bit full. You must understand your target audiences, right? Your outline must put your target audiences into consideration. And of course, the flow of thought includes the subheadings. Obviously, the subheadings, how the subheadings are going to be structured. That is the flow of thought. Right, so your content outline also must contain the number of words, right? What is the number of content words that you are actually targeting? How many number of words are you looking to write in? And this idea also can be gotten by looking at or studying the SERP. Study your competitors and you get to know what kind of content or the number of content that you are going to write. Now, last but not least on this particular one is the call to action, the CTA. What would be the most important CTA in the content? You don't want to write a content. You don't just want to write a content without a call to action for the content. So your content must contain a call to action at the end of the day, right? So I hope this particular content outline under the content brief makes a lot of sense to you. So let's get back here quickly. The goal of the content, which is the last item under the content brief. What exactly do you want to achieve with this content? This largely depends on the organizational goal, right? What does the company want to achieve, right? So first of all, you must understand the intent of the searchers. So if you understand the intent of the searchers, you will also understand what kind of action these searchers may want to take. Now, this is intent here. The intent of the searchers, right? Are they looking forward to buying, to transacting business? Are they looking forward to carrying out some commercial activities? Are they looking forward to navigating through a site, right? And all of that. So if you understand the intent behind their searches, it becomes easier for you to craft out a perfect goal for your content. So this is what you must bear at the back of your mind before you start writing a content. You cannot just start writing a content if you don't have all of this information at the back of your mind. Sometimes you will be mandated to produce this content brief by yourself. At some other time, right, your organization may provide a content brief for you, right, expecting you to interpret it and put the interpretation to a written and effective SEO content. So thank you so much, guys, and let's get to meet up in the next section of this video.
Wow, that was massive, right? Over 20 something minutes screen sharing video, right, walking you through basic items that you must familiarize yourself with in order to craft an effective SEO content, right? So I've talked about the content brief, obviously, which is the umbrella material housing the content outline, housing the content structure or framework, and of course the goal that you must achieve or that you seek to achieve with every content or every copy that you put together as an SEO specialist. So let's get to the second phase of this video. It's going to be a bit of practicals, walking you through how to put live to some of the items that had been mentioned in the previous slide, right? It's going to be a bit of writing, and you get to see how some of these things are done. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll be seeing you in the practical session. Let's get to the laptop immediately, and let's get started with punching the keys, right? Yeah, see you.